topics. And if you've ever wondered how to respond to table topics and feared Toastmasters, you must listen to Jerry today. Please help me welcome Jerry Marino. How to succeed at table topics for fun and profit, Jerry Marino.
Yes, how to succeed at table topics for fun and profit. Now this is fun, right? But profit is when you walk outside that door and you have an interview, you have a job interview, you are questioned at a meeting. There's any number of times when you have to respond in an impromptu manner. And that's what we learn at Table Topics. Now, I used to be afraid of Table Topics. Most people are. But when you fear Table Topics, you're looking at it from the wrong point of view. You're looking at it from your own self-consciousness. Most people think they have nothing to say, or they don't think they're funny and they need to be funny, or they want to stand out and they don't feel they stand out, or they don't want to stand out and they just as soon sit down. I know people who have gone to the restroom when Table Topics start and only come back after it's finished. Maybe you know somebody like that. Well, my personal success at Table Topics was when one day at a meeting, I had a breakthrough. And that breakthrough was, I was asked a very personal question, which I had experienced, meaning, and this is when medical insurance was very different than medical insurance today. And I was asked a question about medical insurance. And I responded, and I had just gone through a denial of medical insurance for a pre-existing condition. Do they still exist, pre-existing conditions? I'm not sure in today's world. But anyway, I was up there and giving my thing, and then finally I said, please, please, please pay this. And I just threw myself into it. And whatever it did, it just launched me into being able to do Table Topics. So every once in a while, you do something that's a little crazy. You use your body language, as Avery so aptly told us about, and you just throw yourself into it. Well, with that prelude, I have some Table Topics tips, techniques, a formula you can use, and ways and strategies to answer your table topics. Now listen carefully, because you're going to be tested on this, because we're going to go through these when I do my table topics, your table topics afterwards. Let's start. Formula. I'm going to give you listen, pause, rise and smile, confirm, tell, and end. Now, I do have a handout, so you don't have to take notes if you don't want to, but I'm glad to see people are taking notes. Listen, pay attention to the question. Your answer starts with paying attention to the question. Wait until the person finishes the question. Now, that might be here. That might be someplace else. Maybe you're a speaker and you're getting questions from the crowd. Let them finish the question. Pause. Formulate an answer. Now, if you pause, your mind starts to think. Gather your thoughts. Smile. It's always better when you're happy because you get those positive feelings. And avoid ahs and ums. Rise and smile. Relax. Take a deep breath if you have to. You know, you're not going to end the world. You're not going to die, I hope, from a table topics. You're not going to have that shot. So relax. Now, this is a good point that will help you engage your mind. Confirm, and you can repeat the question out loud. Now, if you are answering questions from a speech you have given from the crowd, you should repeat the question. You shouldn't just throw into an answer. But when you repeat the question, that gives you something mechanical to get you started. Meaning, you get started, you're talking, and now all of a sudden your mind engages. Repeat the question. Focus. Now you can say thank you for that topic question. Now, really, we don't thank people for that question, but if you feel like you need to say that, go right ahead. Then tell. You give a table topic. It should be like a mini speech, opening, body, conclusion, something that makes sense. You're not up here to be funny, although you can be if you want to. But think about when you go outside. If somebody asks you a question, they don't want you to be flippant about it. They want you to answer the question. Now, you get the essentials. And then you end, you stop. Stand up, speak up, shut up. You have a conclusion. Now, I'm going to give you some ways to conclusion. Now, some people would say you can pivot, and that's one strategy. And I'll talk a little bit about that. But here are some strategies, and I'm going to use these specifically and ask you to respond in these ways when we do our table topic. Point, example, point. Great formula. Here's my point. Here's an example. Conclude with my point. And that's why A, B, C, D, E. Express an opinion. Agree, disagree. Nobody can disagree with your opinion. It's your opinion. However, you should have some reasons and answers. Discuss the effects, discuss the causes. That's a cause and effect kind of thing. Here's the problem. Here's why it's happened. This is what we should be doing to fix it. Or you can break it into components, such as, I have three, I can't do three like that, 3 areas of concern. They are first, second, third. Or past, present, future. This is the way it was. This is what we're looking at now. This is why I'd like to see it in the future. Pros and cons. Well, when I think about this, here's the pros, here's the cons, and here's my answer to that, my solution. Look for a lesson. Tell a story, make a point, and the lesson to that is I learned blah, blah, blah. Related to a book, TV show, a movie. That reminds me of the time I saw that in Forrest Gump. And Forrest said, stupid is as stupid does. And go on, something of that nature. Transition to a topic that you want to talk about. Politicians do this all the time. Well, that's a very good question that you asked me. But what I really want to talk about is, that's the way you said it. Now, I get frustrated when they do that, but people do it. Use humor if you feel comfortable with humor. Now, don'ts. Here's some don'ts. Don't apologize. You can pause. Don't tell me why you don't know something or whatever. We don't care. Just talk. Just respond. Don't ramble. We'll go on and on. But like I said, stand up, speak up, shut up. Come full circle and close. And if you don't know, you don't have to make it up. You can just say it. Imagine in a job interview, they don't want you to make it up. They want you to tell. And if they say, well, I haven't had a lot of experience with that. However, what I had a lot of experience with is blah, 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 blah. And that's why I think I'm qualified for this job. Now, we're going to do table topics. It's a workshop. So I'm going to ask you to respond in a way that relates to one of my topics here. For instance, the first is point, example, point. When you respond to this table topic, I want you to attempt to use that formula. Do the best you can. Only practice. Here's the question, and I'm going to ask Maria. You're going to answer this question, all right? Point, example, point. How can you be a good mentor? And the topic is mentors today, so.
Thank you, Jerry. Yes, how can you be a good mentor? A good mentor is someone, okay, to be a good mentor, you need to be available, you need to be okay, Jerry, you are making me a bad example of the point example point, but
Yes. Try, Maria. It's okay.
Okay. Because I usually like the story point, but I guess I don't usually do point example point. But anyways, so be a good mentor, be available. And by being available, that means you're going to respond to your mentee and you are going to reach out to your mentee. Another good way is to have good suggestions for improvements. And that will be very, very worthy to your mentees. So be available, give good feedback, and give good suggestions. So there you have it. Be a good mentor.
Okay, Maria, that was a very good response. Once you got yourself into it, you were able to answer. Point, example, point. To be a good mentor, you need to be available. Let me give you an example of when I had a mentor and that mentor was available to me, blah, 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 blah. So to be a mentor, you need to be available. Just another way you could have answered it. I think you did fine the way you did, but thank you very much for giving it a try. Don't get uptight about this, guys. This is practice. This is practice. You know? Nothing's going to happen. Okay, opinion. Let's answer this with an opinion. Renee, where do you think mentors are most needed now? Answer it by giving us your opinion about that.
Repeat the question, please. What was the question?
Yes. Where do you think mentors are most needed now?
Mentors are most needed for new members to get them to accommodate themselves to the new structure of a club. You also need mentors as you go on. Let's say somebody's entering a contest, a speech contest that we have every year, something like that. You can do some mentoring for that person that's speaking. Let them give you the practice speech in front of you and give them some feedback. But mentoring people is a terrific idea. It's tough. It's tough because you have got to apply yourself and put yourself in their position. And sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard. But it's a good idea to have mentoring people. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you. He gave us his opinion of where mentors are needed in several places. Our area director, Steve, you're next. So let's see if you can do a cause and effect. With work at home, many business leaders believe young workers do not get the mentoring they need. What do you think about that? And what should be done with it?
Well, thank you for that question. And that is my opinion exactly, is many young members, especially, not members, but say employees that are now spread all over the planet, trying to interface with their employer and fellow employees, simply don't get the kind of feedback they need for their development. I think we're seeing that in reduced team effectiveness and also just not cohesive project execution. What we need to do is get people back together personally. There is a difference. Even in this room, we can see that difference. You're here, you're seeing each other. Not only do you see the speaker and you can feel what's going on with them, but you can feel the energy from those around you. And that is a big difference. Especially we can see that just in conference meetings. Around the table with a bunch of people, you are getting input from many people. When you are just looking out on a screen, it is not the same thing. Absolutely. This disparate type of work environment is reducing effectiveness of many companies. Thank you for the question.
Okay, let's try use a book, a TV show, something you came across, a movie, news, hobby, your family. And let's get Angela. Can you tell us about a book, a movie or TV where a mentor played a prime role in someone's growth or success? Can you relate that? Now, this might be a good example to say, I could, but I really want to talk about it. Go ahead, Angela. It's all yours.
Okay, thank you, Jerry, for that interesting question. Of course, I could always think of something when the question is asked of someone else, but not of me. So I would like to suggest, in terms of a mentor experience, from the first time I was a child, I was mentored by Miss White, who was our choir director at my church. She'd also been my mother's choir director, and she guided me even now, and she's been gone many years, her experience has guided me throughout all of my choral experiences. And I have really grown from that because she had a good musical foundation that I think in many instances are lacking now. I don't think people are necessarily taught the way that she taught. And I am probably not wording it in the way that would be most effective right now, but I do think that it's wonderful to have a good foundation, and a mentor makes a big difference in your life for that.
Apologize. Don't say, I'm probably not saying this the way I should. Just keep talking. Just remember, this is just practice. And we're just trying to get better. And I know I'm throwing a curveball at you by giving you a topic and also asking you to respond in a certain way. And I know it's quite a challenge. So just accept that and just step into it as best you can. And the saying goes, enjoy it. One more. How about we break this up into components? Maybe 3 areas of concern, past, present, future, pros and cons, some way. And I'm going to call on our timer, Lynn.
Right.
Lynn. What are the best practices for maximizing your growth when working with a mentor?
Jerry, best practices when working with a mentor. Well, I'm just going to take off of what Maria said. First of all, you need to show up. And if you're here in person or online, you've met criteria number 1. Criterion number 2, try your best. You probably have a full schedule, but try your best. Show up and try your best. And number 3, reflect on what you've learned along the way. Give yourself some credit. Hopefully your mentor is helping you with this. Those are my 3 ideas for working with a mentor. Thank you.
You did great. And I realize it's a challenge. Table topics in and of itself is a challenge. And responding in a specific way increases the challenge. But we're here to have some fun. We're here to stretch. We're here to grow. Madam Timer, do we have timer's report, please?
Absolutely. Well, Jerry, you spoke for 7:36.
Whoa!
So here's what I think. I think you and Avery actually just flipped times.
Average it out.
So you both qualify. You spoke for 7:36. She spoke for 5:37, which technically qualifies. For our table topics this morning, Maria spoke for 1:19, Renee for 1:01, Steve for 1:13, Angela for 1:05, and I'm sure that my time was fantastic.
It was.
53 seconds.
Did you say fantastic? Fantastic. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being the guinea pigs at this and just trying it out. This is fun. We'll do it again someday soon, and maybe we'll have a specific strategy and we'll ask the same question, and you have to answer it by cause and effect. You have to answer it by giving opinion. You have to answer it by breaking into components. We'll see, but this is a good way to get started and practice and flex your table topic skills. Madam Speechcraft Coordinator, Toastmaster.